everyone, it's Hailey, and today I'm going to be talking about my December TBR. 'Tis the season, it is December, it is Christmas time, which is ridiculous to me because I feel like it was literally just 2016, so how did we get here? I don't know. Also, normally I would put on like a nicer top, but if you watched one of my reading vlogs, I don't know when this video is going out, but if you watched that reading vlog, I have been living in this sweater. It is super comfy and I love my life. But I have lots of stuff that I want to read in December because in December I'm going to slow down with my writing quite a bit. Hopefully not too much, but just because it's going to be a really busy time, I can't really focus on writing, but reading is something that I can do like a tiny bit more mindlessly. Like writing, since I'm writing my own book, I need to be like entirely focused on it, but reading at least I can still absorb and I can still be like sitting in front of the TV and I can read at the same time. But since I was participating in NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month in November, and hopefully on my birthday, November 30th, don't know if this video is going up before that or not, but hopefully I got to my 50,000 words. But since I was doing that, I didn't read a whole lot in November. I really slowed down with my reading, which I liked. I'm definitely not planning on like putting a ton of pressure on myself to read a bunch this month, but I do want to try and read a little bit more. Like definitely 100% I won't be reading all of these books because I do have work in December. I have Bookmas, which is going to be very fun, but it is very time consuming. So I have big ambitions, but I will definitely not reach these goals, which is totally fine with me. I've liked that I've slowed down with my reading. It's a lot more low pressure and that's fun. So let's just talk about the books that I want to read. I'm actually going to start off talking about the arcs that I feel like I really should read because they are coming out either in January. I think all of these are January. Yes, no, one of them is February. Of course, the one that I kind of want to read the most right now is February. Since I'm on the topic of that one, I have really been wanting to read The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross. The synopsis of this sounds kind of familiar to the book that I'm reading right now, An Enchantment of Ravens, just in the fact that it deals with mastering a passion, which kind of reminds me a little bit of An Enchantment of Ravens, just because they have like their crafts and stuff. But honestly, I have been looking at this cover and I'm like, you are beautiful. I would like to read you. I also saw someone on my Bookstagram really liked it, so that has definitely been making me want to pick it up. So I actually am probably going to pick this up after An Enchantment of Ravens, but I don't know when I'm going to finish that. So I may have already read this, but just in case I haven't, I would like to read it. But this is all about a girl who worked really, really hard to master her passion, only to not be chosen by a patron until this disgraced lord is like, I'll be your patron, and she's like, what? The next books are all coming out in January, so next is Everless by Sarah Holland, and this is all about this world where time is a currency and it's extracted from your blood, and it's about this girl who is trying to gain more time because her father is in dire need of it. I'm so intrigued by this world and how that would work, so I definitely do want to read this, and I'm hoping that I will be able to squeeze it in. Next is Reign of the Fallen by A.C. Goggin, and this is all about this girl who ends up sacrificing herself for the sake of her family and her land, but it ends up not being enough of a sacrifice, and she ends up just stuck in this world where magic is banned, and of course she discovers that she has magic once she gets there. So this sounds like it could go one of two ways. It could be a little bit of kind of your typical fantasy, or it could be a really cool one, so we'll see where it goes. But this is coming out on January 30th. Then I have Gunslinger Girl by Lindsay Ellie. This is a Western that is coming out January 2nd, so I definitely need to pick it up very soon. And all I really know about it is that it's Western. I think it's kind of like an alternate reality Western, but I'm not entirely sure on that, so do not quote me. And then last arc is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, which all I know about this is that it's about fairies, and Holly Black writes a lot about fairies, and I haven't read any of her solo books. I've only read The Iron Trial, so I'm interested to see how this is. Next, because 'tis the season, I have some Christmas books. So first off is A Christmas Treasury, which is this Barnes & Noble Classics compilation of just different Christmas stories. So A Christmas Carol is in here, which I actually read last year. Then there's also a poem by Lewis Carroll, which was a nice surprise. There's one by L.M. Montgomery. There's something by Louisa May Alcott. Just tons of Christmas stories that I really would like to read. I probably also want to try and read The Nutcracker and The Little Match Girl if I can, but I don't know about that yet. Next is Pride and Prejudice and Mistletoe by Melissa De La Cruz, which is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice set in Christmas time. I'm just guessing that off of the title, to be honest. I was just like, Christmas, Mistletoe, Pride and Prejudice, give me! So I'm very excited to read this. I feel like it's going to be super quick and short. It's a really oddly shaped book, but I still think that it's going to be a very quick read. Do you ever have those hairs where you're like, I feel like you belong on that side. Yeah, like I feel like you belong there, but then you look weird there too. I don't know. And then the last Christmas book that I have on here is The Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand, which is a retelling of A Christmas Carol, which just sounds absolutely amazing. The main character finds herself as the ghost of Christmas past, which I think just sounds like such a weird premise, but like it could be really cool. The last few books are just kind of random books. It's mostly fantasy because I find at Christmas time, since it's such like just a magical and cheery time, I like reading fantasies. I do also have a couple of contemporaries on here though, so I'm going to talk about those first. So the first one is Dear Martin by Nick Stone. This is being compared to The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, who actually blurbed this, and I've heard it's a very powerful story dealing with police brutality, and it's super short. So this one I will most likely be able to get through in a day, which will be really good, but I'm hoping that it is as powerful as it seems. The next contemporary is Far From the Tree by Robin Fenway. I had really wanted to read this when I pre-ordered it, but I just never got around to it. But then it actually ended up being the National Book Award winner, so it definitely got bumped right up on my TBR, and I really want to read it. But this is kind of compared to This Is Us, which I've just gotten into, very late to that bandwagon, but it is all about three siblings who had all been adopted, and then they come to meet and find their family, like their true birth family. And it's just kind of looking at all their different backgrounds and their upbringings, and kind of a nature versus nurture thing in my opinion. Also, just recently I understood the title and how it's like the apple doesn't always fall far from the tree, so it's like Far From the Tree. Very smart! So now the last books are all fantasies. So first of all is The Broken Ones by Danielle L. Jensen. Did I say that weird? I feel like I said Danielle. Wow. But this is a fantasy story that deals with these trolls who live in this mountain. So it's kind of like an underworld setting, which sounds amazing. And this is actually the prequel to the trilogy. It's the Malediction trilogy, but I like reading stuff in chronological order as opposed to publication order. So I'm going to start off with this one. And then I also have Stolen Songbird, which is the first book to the trilogy. So hopefully I would like this since I've already committed to 2 books of it. But I feel like it's gonna be really cool, and I'm just so intrigued by it. Like trolls. I don't read about trolls, so this could be very awesome. Next is The Goose-Girl by Shannon Hale. Shannon Hale is the author of so many books, but this is one of her first ones from my understanding. Don't quote me on that. I have just discovered her, so I don't really know. But this is definitely an older YA novel. It just got a cover remake, the whole series, and they're beautiful, so I'm hoping that I really like this one so that I can pick up the rest of the series. But I just read Book of 1,000 Days by her, which is just a separate fantasy novel, and I really loved it. So because of that, I want to get to this one so badly. And it's all about this princess who can talk to animals but can't really like talk to people, which just sounds like me, so I'm like, yes! Next is Even the Darkest Stars by Heather Fossett. This has been on, I feel like either I've shown it in a lot of TBR videos or mentally it has been on my TBR because I've really been wanting to pick it up because it's a fantasy dealing with exploration, which sounds awesome. But I just haven't gotten to it, so I'm really hoping that December is the month that I can get to it. Next is Timekeeper by Tara Sim, and this is set in this alternate Victorian world where clock towers are what rule the world. It follows this guy who has not only the ability to fix broken clock towers, but also to play with time itself. So I'm very intrigued by the topic of time in this story, and I love Victorian things, so I'm down for it. And the final book on my TBR is The Last Name Sarah by Kristen Cicciarelli. This is the Indigo Staff Pick of the Month for November, but since I was doing NaNoWriMo, I couldn't read it in November, but I would like to try and get to it in December. But this is all about dragons, and I have a bunch of books on my TBR right now that have dragons, but I haven't read any of them, and I just need to read one because dragons are awesome. But this is about this girl who is like a dragon slayer, which is kind of sad, but I'm assuming that they're bad dragons, so then I'm fine with it. So those are all of the books on my December TBR. Like I said, this isn't gonna happen. Like, this is super ambitious, but it's not gonna go this way. I'm hoping I can at least get to like maybe 5 of them. That would be nice, but Bookmas, I've got to like pre-film everything, and it's probably going to eat a little bit into December, and then my family's home, so I don't read when my sisters are home, and then I'm also going to be working a lot because holiday rush. So December's a toss-up, especially because this year is the first year where I don't actually have final exams, but I'm doing Bookmas like way bigger than I've ever done it before, so we'll see how it goes. But if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. I put out new videos every Monday and Thursday, and you can also follow me on my social media. My Twitter is @HalesInBookland, and my Instagram is @HaileyInBookland. But all that information can be found down below. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye! I just pulled my own hair. That really hurt.